EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTechGuys Radio, brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative and Hope Public Schools, both located in Hope, Arkansas. I am David Henderson.
I'm Jeff Madlock.
And I'm Greg Moore.
And we welcome you to the show in a little bit today, a little bit later on. I don't know what I'm trying to say. What am I saying? In a few moments, we'll actually be talking with Monica Morris. She is the Teacher Center Coordinator here at the Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative. So we're going to talk about some things coming up at the co-op and some things we've got going on. And then a little bit later today, we will talk about a meeting that took place in Little Rock on Monday at the Capitol regarding the status of E-rate applications for the state of Arkansas.
Ooh, fun times.
That's a matter of perspective. Real quick, as Jeff is getting us set up on our Periscope, you can join us. You are listening to radio.edutechguys.com. You can also join us on Periscope. Grab the Periscope app and check us out, EduTechGuys, and eventually you'll be able to see us for whatever that's worth.
Periscope, Commodore.
Keep going.
All right, we're going to keep on rolling. Right now you'll be looking at Jeff's big smiling face when you sign on to Periscope. In the meantime, I believe we have the chat open on Mixlr, so if you go over to mixlr.com, mixlr.com/edutechguys, find the show there, and there'll be a place you can chat. You can also hit us up on Twitter. We are at EduTechGuys, or individually, I am at David N. Ark. Jeff is at J Madlock. Greg doesn't partake.
I does not do the tweets. No.
He does. No, he doesn't. So
we all know why.
I was banned. I'm sorry.
That's right. He used to tweet, not anymore. So yeah, I know it's hard to believe, especially those of you that have seen us on Periscope or you've checked out any of the promo graphics we put together. But Greg is the one who's always got the hat on. He's the bad boy of the bunch.
Yeah, I walk out and I put on my leather jacket and I hop on my Harley and I go roaring off into the sunset. And the reason he's laughing is because it's completely and utterly ridiculous.
It's the mental picture of you putting on a jacket and hitting a Harley.
I weigh like 100 pounds wet, so
that is awesome.
It's like rev the Harley and I go flying off backwards because I don't weigh anything.
That's right.
I've seen that movie.
One of the other things I want to talk about before we get too far in here is remind folks that in December we are going to be coming to you live from New Orleans from the AESA conference at the Hyatt Regency. So we'll have more information about that, and we'll give you some more tidbits about that as we go on. But remember that we'll be live from New Orleans, so that's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be very cool.
Cool. Hey, remember you listen to radio.edutechguys.com. You can follow us right now at radio.edutechguys.com. Also, edutechguys.com. Go to the website. Take a trip down to the bottom of the page. You'll find a comment area where you can leave us a comment, tell us what you think, and also hit us up on Twitter and on chat. Looks like we have a few folks listening already, so if you have any questions or any of that good stuff, go ahead and throw them out at us. I think today, discussion-wise, you want to jump right into what's happening in Arkansas?
I was figuring we'd just sit here and waste some time, just because that's what people tune in for,
I'm actually still fighting with Periscope.
I think it would probably be more prudent if we brought our guest in, let Monica tell us about what's happening at the co-op, and then she can. Then we'll leave it up to her discretion.
She broke my Periscope.
I wasn't under the impression I was going to be filmed.
So,
How did she do that?
Voodoo, evil voodoo.
hey, we hired her for all kinds of special skills, and breaking your periscope was at the list.
Definitely
It
worked,
was on
because
the
that's,
list.
that's what's going down. I'll let you introduce her. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so with us today is Monica Morris, and she is our Teacher Center Coordinator. So you can feel free to tell folks a little bit about yourself, and then tell us what's happening at the co-op.
Okay. Monica Morris, and I am, as David said, the Teacher Center Coordinator here at Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative. And I've been here, this is starting my 3rd year. I was administrator at Hope Schools before that, and a teacher in Hope Schools before that. Right now I plan all the professional development, sit in on board meetings, bring the updates from the state level to our superintendents, principals, and other administrators, work on just various different projects, work with our math and literacy science specialist on different projects. That's about it.
And all other duties as assigned.
Everything else
undoubtedly.
that comes along.
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's right. Breaking periscope.
Hence all the sticky notes on my desk that I will have to rush back to after this.
Exactly.
They're driving her crazy as we're speaking. You can
Yes.
see the jitters. There's post-it notes.
Uh,
All right, so let's talk about some of the different things that are going on, coming up at the co-op.
Okay, well, we have a couple events that I wanted to talk about today. The first thing is we have something that is called Bloomboard University, and we are actually putting this on in conjunction with the Arkansas Department of Ed
Okay.
and Queen Mena Co-op and South Central Co-op and SAU in Magnolia. So it's a big group effort
Yeah, really.
that we are all putting this on. It will be held on the SAU campus on October 16th from
Cool.
8:30 to 3:30. And we're asking all of our school teams or school districts to invite a team to attend this day. We would like teams of 5 to 6, preferably from one building. Each building send a team, but we know that can't always happen with trying to find substitutes and all of that. So
Sure.
it may be 5 or 6 from a district, and that will work. But the purpose of Bloomboard University is to help districts and schools build capacity with Bloomboard. Those of you that have been following Arkansas teacher evaluation, we went to a new model several years ago, Teacher Excellence Support System, TESS, for all of our educators. And so along with that, when they're doing their teacher evaluation, we've chosen the platform of Bloomboard.
Okay.
And so their evaluations are housed within Bloomboard, and there are resources within Bloomboard. And so Bloomboard University is going to help schools. Whoops.
clean up on aisle 3.
Speakerphone.
Clean up on aisle 3.
Oops.
So anyway, the purpose of this is to help schools be aware of what resources are available through Bloomboard and how to make data-driven decisions when making those decisions about professional development needs of their teachers, and personalizing those plans for their teachers so that all teachers aren't getting the same thing. If a teacher's struggling with classroom management, that's where we need to focus on. And if they're really good at classroom management, then they don't need to sit through a 6-hour professional development on
Right.
classroom management, or be tending to resources in Bloomboard on classroom management.
So the folks that are going to go to this university then, since we're talking about a team of teachers either from the various buildings or the various districts, depending on how many people they can send, are the teachers that are attending this expected to come back and train the other teachers, or how do they decide which teachers to send?
Right. Schools have a variety of ways that they choose their leadership teams, and so they're able to do that, and then these teams will go and learn about the resources, and the expectation is that they will come back and help their other educators. We don't want to keep it to themselves, when they're the only 5 that have gained any knowledge. So yes, they will come back to the districts, and I don't know that it would be just another training that they would have to offer, but just help and assistance, mentoring, those that are struggling with Bloomboard or, need
Almost
to
like
find resources.
almost like a support role.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
I struggle with Bloomboard. Anything Bloom in it.
I think it's the board part.
I'm a little bored.
It's the board part you struggle with. State board, school board.
All the other
The board they used to use on me in between classes.
Yeah, that's right. The Board of Education.
The Board of
Yes.
Education.
All right, cool. So again, that's in October. So that sounds very cool.
Yes, I think it'll be a great event. October 16th. Lunch is provided. Our co-op personnel will all be there. Hopefully David will join us too.
Evidently, I'll be there.
You've been volunteered.
In case you don't know, Monica is my boss.
Our math, literacy, science specialists, our GT specialists, they'll all be in attendance.
Cool.
So that we can help build those relationships with those teachers as well and let them know, hey, we're hearing the same information you are. And so when you get back and you've forgotten something, that you can call us and we can help get you through that again.
So I have to ask, so the Teacher Center, can we talk a bit about the Teacher Center?
Sure.
Because, it's really interesting. My mother, she worked here years ago, and she still follows you guys.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she worked for the co-op a long time ago when it was in the other spot. But she still follows you guys. A lot of people follow you on Facebook. So make sure you follow the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op on Facebook. Throw that little piece out there. And she saw the Yeti stuff where you're cutting out the monograms.
Vinyl.
Yeah. So I was immediately tasked to make sure that she had one for her Yeti.
Yes.
And so my daughter's in a boot on her foot because she's had some issues. So they put her in one of those boots, and she said, "Can you get me 2 of the small ones in white with my initials so I can put them on the side of my boot?" So yeah,
This is like modern. That's the modern day version of casting.
Exactly.
Put the vinyl on my boot.
Yes,
what's
exactly.
cool though is all the stuff that goes on down there. I mean, can you give us a rundown? I especially like that cool stuff. The vinyl
Right.
stuff's really cool.
Right. The Teacher Center has really grown in the last 3 years. It was primarily in place to make copies and handbooks and different things for professional development. And they also had paper where the Ellison cutters were down there, and teachers could come cut letters for their bulletin boards
Right.
and buy bulletin board border and those kinds of things. And it has just evolved in the last 3 years. We purchased a machine that cuts vinyl,
Yeah.
and of course, girls like to monogram everything. We like our name on everything: the backs of our cars, our Yetis,
I've been in primary school classrooms. There's a label on everything.
I actually spent probably an hour last night getting a list of things that I needed that I took to the Teacher Center this morning.
Did you need labels for it?
Yes,
See,
lots
monograms.
of, my mother-in-law had a Yeti that she needed and another glass that she was trying to put a monogram on. And actually, we made a dress for my niece today. Bought her a dress and we have a heat press machine, so we did the heat press vinyl.
Oh, cool.
With her monogram on the
see,
on the
that's
little
cool.
dress, and
It is cool.
super cute.
And I was actually the guinea pig for that.
I was wondering about those letters branded on your arm.
It really burns.
Not for use on flesh.
But they had just unpackaged the thing, and in fact, they were still figuring out how it works, and they asked that I bring in a plain white T-shirt. And I did one of those, straight out of press kit things. They're now the popular thing now.
That's great.
And so I did a straight out of press kit, and she pressed it down on the shirt, and it's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, Ellison cutters and all that are still down there. Also,
They are.
aren't they?
They are still down there. They don't use them a whole lot. Teachers really like the coming and printing it. The silhouette machine that we have that cuts vinyl also cuts regular paper. So any font that you
that's
can have
cool.
on your computer, we
You
can
now
just
cut
hit print, and it cuts it in a whole lot of different fonts. And
In the years past, I
different.
used to get a J for Christmas notepad.
Oh, yeah.
You still do that down there. So
make
yeah,
notepads,
really cool. So
calendars.
I wonder how many educational service centers still have teacher centers like that. Any idea? I'm pretty sure the ones in Arkansas do. Don't
I think
they?
all of the ones in Arkansas still have a teacher center. They're all very different. We are probably pushing the envelope a little more than some of the others are doing. We have a poster maker.
Oh, that's cool.
July 28th, we received 400 a shipment of 400 poster boards, and we're almost out. We have about 20 left, so
Man.
we are placing another order, and that since just in the last couple of weeks, almost 400 posters have been printed.
And that's what I think. I think once we started really, when we really got the hang of kicking out posters and really got the word out that we could generate posters, I think that is really when that switch kind of flipped from cutting out those letters for putting them up on bulletin boards to having a poster
just
that you
print the
walk out
whole
with.
poster.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
Right.
that's very cool.
There's not a lot of the rubber cement and construction letters being glued to poster board anymore.
There's not a need for it, really, I guess.
Right. Right.
It would be cool to come out here and do that. We have some poster board printer kind of things in our district, but
Mm-hmm.
not to the level you guys have. I know a lot of our teachers come out here, especially
Yes.
before school starts,
A lot of them do.
and do that. That's
It's
pretty
great
cool.
too. You can actually print a picture.
Yeah.
They were the other day when I was down there. They had a photo of a family, and they printed it poster size for a reunion.
Oh, wow.
It was great. It was
Oh,
great
that's
quality.
cool.
So
Man.
that's a great question. So in the community of Hope, I guess in any community that there's a educational service center in Arkansas, then they're welcome to come and use the service, because I think you're staffed with 3 or 4 people.
We have 3 that
Yeah.
are full time in the teacher center, and they stay completely busy.
Yeah,
I'm just overwhelmingly busy all the time.
That's
and,
awesome.
and we think we're headed into a slow time, and it's never a slow time.
We know how that goes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's always right when you think there's going to be a slow time that it's just suddenly you're
and-
hit by an avalanche of.
And what usually happens is you plan some stuff for the slow time. So it's like, oh, here's me pack this stuff in, and then you just get a whole bunch of stuff on top of that, and it winds up being way more busy than any other time.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
We have a lot of school orders that we have a van route that goes out every other week that's associated with our teacher center, and they deliver the Ellison cutters. We have traveling Ellison cutters that go to schools that don't have those yet, and that when the van goes out, they'll take anything that's in the teacher center that has been ordered by teachers and deliver it straight to them. So even if you're in Texarkana or Falk or Genoa, you still get everything and without having to come here.
Yeah, delivered to your classroom.
right to your door.
If it
That's
takes
the way
more
to do
than
it.
20 minutes, it's free. Oh, no. That's pizza.
That's the little round cardboard.
So the good part is I have to throw this in there. Periscope's now working, so if you're out there listening to this, you can also log into Periscope. I actually set it so that Monica is not on the screen
I
unless she
just
wants to
noticed.
She
be.
is not.
She can lean forward
She
if
can
she
lean
wants
forward
to
a
see.
hair.
but
Monica's sitting right here.
Neither am I. There's my hand. So
Yeah,
we made sure we're not in the.
I was just going to say, Jeff positioned that purposely so that Greg and I are
Yes,
dead
exactly.
center. You know,
You're both very pretty.
we're looking very Abbott and Costello.
So, anything else you want to share with us for the year?
The only other thing I wanted to mention is that September 24th, we will be hosting a regional business and industry partnership council, and the purpose behind that it's just a couple of hours, 3-hour meeting. We are inviting all of the business administrators in from the Texarkana area, Hope area, anyone in our region. We've invited Chamber of Commerce. Mark Keith will actually host that event for us, or he'll MC it.
MC.
MC.
So, and I worked with Mark at the radio station several years ago, so I'm looking forward to having him here.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's to help build that connection between career and technical education and our businesses out there, and helping our teachers see that the jobs that we're preparing them for, because we're sending a lot of our students out to the industry business and they're not prepared. They're not ready for the industry that's out there. So we need to keep those connections going with those business folks and education folks so that we're doing exactly what they need, and when they come out, they're ready. If there's a specific certification they need, we can help them get that while they're in high school or quickly right after high school, so that they can go straight into working, because not everyone is going to college.
Sure.
And we know that.
Right.
So anyway, if you need more information on that, you can call the co-op at 870-777-3076 and ask for Floyd Morris. Gina Perkins is who you would RSVP to, but you could call either one of them or myself, and we could get you more information on that.
Very cool. They're holding those regional partnership councils at different places around the state. I think it's very cool that we get to host one of those. And it's a pretty big deal. We're talking about having some of the executives from some of the really big name businesses that are in and around our area that are coming in. So, or at least scheduled to appear, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be cool. There's going to, the way that Floyd had described it was that there's going to be a panel at the front who will have, that will answer questions and lead discussions from the either audience members or, like I said, from the MC. I guess he'll be kind of like the moderator. What do you call what do you call the presidential debate person? Is that,
The moderator.
that's not the word I was looking for. Anyway.
Yes, we're hoping this is just the first of many. We would like to host this conversation, at least once a year, and just keep those conversations going. So hopefully this will start. This was an initiative that Governor Hutchinson asked us to follow through with, and he was invited, and he cannot make it, but maybe he'll make the next one. He's attended several around the state, so maybe he'll make it to the next one.
That'd be very cool. And then the one thing that's coming up that I'm most excited about is the technology training program that we are going to host here at the Education Co-op. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We're putting together a team, for lack of better words, of technology educators from all of our districts, and we're working on technology integration. We've got lots of technology going in our schools, and our schools are spending lots of money on technology, but we're not seeing the use in the classroom, and our students aren't using it. So David and I kind of brainstormed with Harry Dickens, and we are going to put together a group, and I hope it will grow every year, but we will purchase them several different devices, gadgets, and we'll have 4 different trainings throughout the year. And in those trainings, we'll learn how to use that device to integrate that into their classroom instruction. And those people can go back to their buildings and help. Hey, this is a Sphero ball. And, this is going to help with coding, and this is how we can use it in the classroom, and this is what we would do. And so there's several other.
Yeah, there's other. We can't remember all the stuff. We have a list of things, but makey kits, little bits. I think then there's some other things that aren't popping into our head right now. But
Chromebooks are in almost every building, or Chromebooks or iPads, and so even we may not purchase those, but we're going to talk about what are we doing with those in the classroom?
Mm-hmm.
Did we just do that for testing, online testing, or are we actually going to use them?
We should hope not
In the classroom. And I know when I was in the building. Dropping in to see teachers, a lot of times the iPads were used for free time. It was it was the treat in the classroom. You've been good today, so you can play on your iPad for 20 minutes.
Right.
And we want it to be more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I use a device of my phone, my iPad, my laptop, my Chromebooks. I mean, I go from devices all day long.
Yes.
And so they've got to see. And we've had the conversation that our kindergartners this year know nothing except for a touchscreen world, and we've got to start addressing that we don't wait till high school to show them all these nifty little things. We've got to start at kindergarten.
I agree.
I think it'll be cool, and as that is put into place and rolled out, and as we do different projects and different I'm assuming that as we go along, that there'll be some project-based learning involved, and a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about here on the show, since we started. And I think it'd be cool. We may be able to invite some of those folks that participate on and let them talk about what they're doing, and maybe even get some students in here and talk about how they're using what their teachers are learning, and or what they're teaching their teachers to learn. Right.
That would be great.
So I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, we're also in the spring. We have something planned we're going to bring girls in from all of our schools and have a Girls That Code Day, and really get girls interested in coding, and not just, nothing against you guys.
We understand.
That's right.
But guys typically
go on, get out of here.
Guys are typically are the ones that are going for that, and we want to get girls interested in it too.
Right.
There's a market for them too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially with so many big tech companies just recently announcing that they've got big programs that they're trying to change the equality landscape. And so, yeah, there is definitely a market for female coders and programmers and those who work with technology.
I don't know why guys don't procrastinate. I mean, you tell me to do one thing and then you harp about it 6 months later. I'm going to get to it
Well,
eventually.
it's not like I walked in with 3 minutes to spare before this radio show or anything. You know, it's like,
We don't need you, Greg.
I know.
Well, it sounds like the co-op's doing lots of cool stuff,
Lots of cool
tech-wise.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to move in the future, is especially for service centers, is to look at the fact that it's here and it's not going anywhere. So we better address it pretty quickly or find ourselves the way of the dodo.
Absolutely. Well, if we don't adapt and change at the service center level, there could come a day where there's not a service center
We're
there.
not needed.
Adapt
And we're
or
asking
die.
our schools to change, and we're asking our teachers to change, and we have to change as well. And, whether that's moving to a blended approach to professional development or a completely online approach, whatever we
Sure.
need to do, it's not all going to be face-to-face.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Very
right.
cool. Awesome.
Hey, well, we want to thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for
I
inviting
hope
me.
it wasn't
Absolutely.
too short a notice.
No.
I keep asking
Great.
him it's like a month, and he's like, eh.
Yeah.
So
Right.
David didn't want
I'm
me
kidding.
here.
I'm
Throw
kidding.
David under the
Maybe
bus.
next time we'll get Phoebe in,
Yes.
director, and so she can spend some time with us and talk about some
Right.
stuff. But thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com, and that was Monica Morris here from the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op. Hey, we're going to listen to a quick promo coming up at the AESA convention in December, and then a quick song from one of our previous guys, Trey Johnson. He and his partner in crime, I think it's Jeff Willman, is a harmonica player. They won the first place in the International Blues Contest in Little Rock for Arkansas
Sweet.
this last week. So we'll play one of his songs we played last time. And once again, thanks to Monica Morris for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Join EduTech Guys live from the 30th Annual AESA Conference in New Orleans, December 2nd through the 5th. We'll be providing day-by-day coverage as we talk with presenters, attendees, and members of education service agencies from around the nation. Get rid of the noise and listen to the music with EduTech Guys Live, December 2nd through the 5th. Brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative, Hope Public Schools, and the Association of Education Service Agencies.
Sing along, you know you want to. Hey, hey, mama said the way you move gon' make you sweat, gon' make you groove. I'm gonna make you groove. Darling, when you walk that way, watch your honey drips, I can't keep away. I can't keep away. I got a road, no, I can't sit still. Got a flaming heart, I can't get my fill. I said, ah, 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 ah. It didn't take long till I found out what people mean by down and out. Honey, don't you count me out. She spent my money and she took my car. Tried to tell her friends she gonna be a star. I don't know Well, y'all been told a big leg woman ain't got no soul. Let me hear you. I said, ah, 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 ah,
Hey, that was Trey Johnson, one of our former featured artists on the show. He and his harmonica player, Jeff, or I shouldn't say harmonica, like he owns this guy. I mean, he and his bandmate, the duo, the harmonica player, Jeff Willman, I think that's his name. I hope I'm getting it right. If I'm not, I apologize. They won the International Blues Contest for Arkansas last weekend, took first place. So they'll move on into the good stuff. So, yeah, if you want to hear championship music, you listen to radio.edutechguys.com because we've got it on here.
Nice.
Hey, this was just saying, this came to me from the news desk.
This is quite
Actually-
literally hot off the presses.
We want to throw this out. If you visit the Hope Public Schools Facebook page or anything in the local area, you know about Rachel's Challenge, and that's a really great documentary. It's going to be here at Hempstead Hall on the campus of the University of Arkansas Community College at Hope, and it's this Thursday, August the 27th.
So tomorrow.
Rachel's Challenge, it exists to equip and inspire individuals to replace acts of violence, bullying, and negativity with acts of respect, kindness, and compassion. It's based on the life and writings of Rachel Joy Scott, who was the first victim of the Columbine school shootings in 1999. Through her example, Rachel's Challenge is making a positive impact on the lives of millions of people every year. Schools, superintendents, teachers, parents, church groups, all that good stuff. It's a great thing to see. It's going to be here and I think Hope Public Schools and several schools are coming throughout the day to watch the documentary. Cool. I don't believe the documentary is that long, but I think it really works out well. If you want more information on how to have a Rachel's Challenge event at your school anywhere in the country or conference, please contact them at 877-895-7060 or visit the website at www.rachelschallenge.org.
Cool. That's very cool.
It's really cool. So that's some stuff happening here, and it can happen anywhere. So if you're listening and you want it at your school, definitely make it happen.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah, so what's going on?
Okay, so...
Are we skirting the issue?
We've managed to dodge the issue for 32 minutes.
Talk about everything else.
So what is the issue that we are referring to? Basically, what's going on in a nutshell in the state of Arkansas is that no schools have received any E-rate funding as of yet for the current program year. It's all on hold. And on Monday at the state capitol, there was a meeting held with DIS, which is Department of Information Services, the Arkansas Department of Education, referred to as ADE. There was also USAC, which they are the ones who oversee the funding for the E-rate program, and then the FCC, who is actually the one in terms of policy and regulation over
a whole alphabet soup of
there
acronyms.
Is a
there.
whole. It was acronym
ADE,
city.
DIS,
yes.
FCC, USAC.
ABC.
BADDOG DOWNKITTY.
And so at this meeting, not only were the acronym folks there, but also there were representatives, the state technology coordinators, that is the technology coordinators from each of the co-ops. We were all invited to attend. There were, and we had about 10 out of 15, so about 10 of us or so were able to make it. There were several co-op directors that were at this meeting. There were some other folks that I didn't quite get their affiliation, and then a lot of vendors. And by vendors, I mean the internet service providers in the state of Arkansas. And the purpose of the meeting was to partly have the FCC explain what the holdup is, and then really try to lay some groundwork down for getting past the issue or issues and find a way to finally get money into the hands of the schools in terms of reimbursements and or discounts through the E-rate program for internet service. So essentially, how the FCC explained things was that the holdup is that the FCC currently has 2 proposals in hand from nearly every district in the state. Essentially, what the schools were told was to go ahead and file for E-rate on their own. Meanwhile, the state is rolling out a brand new statewide, state paid for network. And the state will be filing for E-rate on that.
Right.
All right. So there's an E-rate filing for schools that the schools did. And then there's also an E-rate filing on behalf of the schools by the state.
Right.
Essentially, that's two different filings for the same entity, and they kind of went,
it's one too many.
Yes, that's right. So what the FCC is looking for is the most cost-effective solution for each site seeking the reimbursement / discount, the E-rate funding. And the problem, as it turns out, and really part of the crux of this meeting was that DIS got in there and was explaining their side of things and saying that the issue that they're having, the reason why FCC can't move forward. Well, let me pause there a minute. So the FCC is holding on to these 2 things, right? Two requests for each site. The problem is that they can't move forward because they do not have a time frame in place as to when the state is going to implement this new network. So the gist is that once there is a timetable in place, then the FCC can say, okay, we're going to release money for whatever districts are part of this initial rollout. We know that your cutover is going to be, for the sake of argument, say December. All right. Well, because the FCC, if this is the case, and the FCC says, okay, so in December, you're going to roll over to the state. Therefore, we will give you funding to cover you from the past July 1 that's already happened, from July 1 up to the cutoff date, the cutover date. We'll give you the funding for that. And then you aren't going to get any other funding because you're not paying anything, right? The state is paying for your internet connection. Okay. All right. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem is the timeline.
Right.
All right. So DIS said to the vendors, the problem is that in order to get this timeline fleshed out, we're waiting on the vendors to tell us when they can implement their networks that meet the specifications and guidelines, and those are based on the SETDA, the CETA recommendations.
More acronyms.
Okay, right, more acronyms. All right. But those are based on those guidelines. Actually, in Arkansas, we're actually going above those recommendations. We are looking at implementing a minimum of 200K per user at each district. So not just per student, but per user at each site. And I say we, I don't mean we like I'm a part of that. I mean we collectively, the state.
French we.
Okay, right? So, continuing with the story, DIS is saying that some of the vendors have not turned in their timeline for as to when they plan to be able to deliver the capacity that the state is requiring for the new network. To which some of the vendors took exception, and their response was, well, the problem is that DIS has not given them a time frame for when the vendor could connect to the DIS connections at the various POP locations.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have a little bit of hot potato, don't point at me, point at you.
Oh, my goodness.
Glass houses kind of thing. And I will tell you that was a majority of the conversation and was probably some of the most well, as my preacher calls it, intense fellowship. It was definitely some discussion going on for sure. During this conversation as well, there was discussion about contracts, and this also led to some rather intensely vocal communication about contracts. And basically, in a nutshell, for the purposes of those listening, some districts have entered multi-year contracts with their internet service provider, and they had entered those contracts before this state plan was even a twinkling in anybody's eye so far as we as the end users are concerned.
Right.
And the issue is that during this transition process, some of the schools who signed agreements with vendors, that vendor is not the vendor who ended up winning the bid for the state rollout.
Right.
So at some point, they're going to have to switch internet service providers, potentially in the middle of a contract.
Oy.
Yeah. So how do we negotiate our way around, out of, through this contract swamp?
It's a paperwork labyrinth.
It is. And so, again, there was some discussion about how the contracts would be handled. And suffice to say, for the sake of the time allotted that we have here now, that the general conversation is this. School districts in Arkansas that are caught in that kind of crossfire crossover can attempt to work out a however they need to be able to get out of that contract if they're changing providers. They can work with that current provider to try to get out of that. If they are unsuccessful, then the district may call the Department of Information Services, DIS, and DIS will work with that vendor and that district to see if there is a positive, amicable resolution to the contract situation. I cleaned that up.
It was all
So
very beautifully couched in politically correct statements. I like that.
Well, you know, and yes, partly.
So I've been quiet this whole time.
Now he's going to cause some trouble.
I'm not going to cause any trouble. You know, it's interesting that other states have tried this, and it did not work. And I think it did not work for the same reason. And for us in Hope, Arkansas, and Hope Public Schools, it's been a communication breakdown for us.
Well,
And it's been a labyrinth of communication faux pas. And it's not really the district's fault. We're actually we're at the very end of this. You know, it's DIS, it's AppScan, it's ADE, it's vendors, it's FCC, it's E-rate, and then at the very end of it, when it all washes out and the waters run off and the flood's over, hopefully there's some shiny rocks still left at the bottom for us to play with. I think that the problem that we have is that normally in E-rate season we've already got our funding by now, and we're getting discounts. And for us in Hope, and I can only speak from my department, and what I know is I'm paying full bills right now.
Right.
And so that's money, that's district money that was not budgeted.
Right.
Now, you know, E-rate always makes sure that you budget enough money to cover what they won't cover, which we do.
Right.
But we don't budget to cover, you know, the faux pas that has been created by DIS, AppScan, ADE, and the vendors.
And summer projects have been held up because hardware didn't come in time.
Priority 2.
So now we're behind.
This didn't just hold up that; it's held up a lot of priority 2 commitments that we were hoping to have 2 months ago.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, we've always been in some of the first waves, and we've been able to get our stuff done. That's all I'll say about it. I think the rest of it is now in the hands of the administrators that are in charge of dealing with this kind of stuff. And
yes, and I do want to say, and again, I'm keeping this brief and edited, frankly, but this is edited for the time allowed. Is that what they say? All right. So once the intense conversations kind of played themselves out and the conversation then came back around to this timetable. DIS promised that they would work with vendors in terms of evidently there is a spreadsheet that is a timetable for rolling out the various pieces and parts of this project. And so DIS is going to share that with vendors. But then what I thought was also a very good move, as suggested, if I recall, by the FCC, DIS is also going to share that timetable spreadsheet with all of the school techs in the state of Arkansas through the School Tech Listserv. So ideally, what that's going to allow for is all of the players involved to see what's going on and, frankly, most likely expose the true bottlenecks. And then at that point, to put it bluntly, I think there's going to be some strong arming from either side, whether it's vendors strong-arming DIS about getting connectivity to the POP, whether it's DIS strong-arming vendors about saying, look, we've got to have the timetable for X, Y, Z, and, whatever the overall rollout is, for the sake of argument, I will say that at one point during the discussion, there was January 2016 was thrown out in the conversation, to which that raised a little bit of a ruckus because evidently the majority of the people there had not heard that as a date at all. So they didn't even know there was a moving target, let alone,
Drop the date. Oh.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? So hopefully, if presumably that January is the target date, then we know we've got this window that the vendors and DIS have got to not only work in, but work together in,
right,
in order to get things moving. The real issue, from my perspective, is exactly what you were talking about, Jeff, and that is, let's say that it's January. Okay, schools are paying the full price that was not budgeted because they were expecting and anticipating having the E-rate money already in place for funding their internet connection. Well, now they're paying tens of thousands of dollars to get to that January point. Yes, when it's all said and done, there will be, however the reimbursement works. If the district gets a check, if the district gets the credit on the bill, sure, there's going to be a huge cushion once it comes in. The problem is, there's going to be some pretty difficult and lean times for district. That's money that normally would be spent on students, on curriculum, on different projects at the district.
Yeah, I can't pay my normal bills because the hot water heater broke, and that's at $1,000 that I didn't expect to be out of. Well, for some districts, it's $10,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 a month for the bandwidth that they're used to only paying maybe 10% for.
Right, exactly.
Which is a big difference.
It is a big difference.
And all of a sudden, now I'm dipping into district funds to find this money to make sure that it's happening across the board because we've got to have the bandwidth.
Right. You can't just cut off the internet.
Well, you could, but you would be, you'd be found in a tree, somewhere.
That's right.
We know it's cool. So yeah, I mean, there it is. We talked about it. It's not like I wasn't going to get nasty. There's no really at this point. I think we're over it. We're just going to let it play out. You were at the meeting and you saw what went down, and we'll leave that between the meeting and the wall, and we'll move on about it. I think that it's gonna work itself out. I just hope that it doesn't cause damage that takes longer to recoup from in the long run.
Exactly.
That's the part
and that's one of the concerns as well. One of the concerns is that in addition to those players involved getting things worked out, what are the outside forces that are going to be at play here in terms of, whatever the fallout is from the way this is,
Right.
Some folks don't appreciate the way it's been handled, and so whatever the ramifications of that, ultimately it's just delaying districts from getting those funds. And again, like you said, I mean, we're talking, $10, $20 or more $1,000 per month in order to provide the bandwidth the students need. That's money that's not going back into students by way of various avenues. and I think it's very important that what you mentioned, that this money comes out of the school district base funding. So it's not like there's some federal grant that's going to help cover, while E-Rate's trying to figure out, and it's not really E-Rate, but as DIS and vendors and all the other players try to figure out exactly how this is going to come together.
Right.
It's not like there's extra money to help cover that. No, this is coming straight out of the district coffers. Yeah, it's going to definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. And we'll be happy to keep everybody up to date and informed as this develops and as it goes on and as we get more information. My guess is that on the next program, by then, hopefully, we'll have a look at that spreadsheet, and there may be something in there that kind of helps either alleviate fears or...
Everybody panic, run!
I'm not a fear monger at all. I hate fear and intimidation as a way to communicate. But sometimes.
Sometimes it's valid.
That's all you got.
So, changing course here.
Yes.
We'll wrap this thing up.
Please do.
So, we like to do, we've tried to, and on occasion, do a Google App Feature of the Week. And,
Google App Feature of the Week.
One of my favorites that's on What's New in Google Apps is Head Back to School with New Features in Google Classroom. A lot rolled out on the 24th of August. One of those was question-driven discussions. Now, teachers can post questions to their class and allow the students to have discussions by responding to each other's answers.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, or not, or depending on how the setting, the teacher actually has control over that, which I think is cool. For example, teachers could post a video and ask students to answer a question about it, or post an article and ask them to write a paragraph in a response. And then they can discuss it amongst themselves because it's been opened up in the class.
Right.
So
much more rapid fire communication.
Well, and not only that, but that is a huge leap toward Google Classroom being an LMS.
Right. Well, and then so there's another one. Teachers can now reuse assignments, announcements, or questions from any of their classes or any class they co-teach. Nice. From last year, last week, they can go find other stuff and reuse it.
Nice.
So they don't have to recreate everything. The other one is now it's a big deal. Next month, a classroom will automatically create a calendar for each class in Google Calendar.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be integrated into it, and that's really cool. There's a few more improvements that are coming back. Bump-a-post, which teacher wants to make sure.
That's whenever the little tiny cars and you just smack into each other.
Into the pole.
Exactly. Bump a post over and over.
A really cool one is they can bump a post, which are older items. They can bump them back.
Right, bring them back to the top.
Due dates will become optional, so they can now, because now you have a due date when you make an assignment, so that will be an optional piece added to it. And this is a really cool one. Now you'll be able to attach a Google form to a post.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Google Forms are awesome.
Because then...
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because then as the kids answer them, you're going to get the spreadsheet with all the answers on it.
Right,
so,
exactly.
A form, or as they would say, a quiz or a test.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
So, yeah. Hey, well, you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com, coming to you from the Southwest Arkansas Educational Cooperative in Hope, Arkansas. And we want to thank the Public Schools of Hope Public Schools, for letting us be here. Got that one twisted around in my tongue. I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and listen to artists from last week that we really liked, and it's a little filler while we gather up our last stuff for the last of the show, water the horses, and get ready to head for the finish line. This is Nick C, and the song is "Letting Go."
You're in your moonlit face, and I know it's true. Well, like shining stars will never fade when it's me and you. That lifelong love down till the end. The words that you told me, but not what you meant. But I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life I thought I finally had the thing right. Now let go. Your ruby lips, your windblown hair, let your lies sneak through. Southbound eyes in my pride kills my truth. That life alone, love, down till the end. But words that you told me, and now what you meant. But I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life I thought I finally had the thing right. And when it's all said and done, and your memory is shining through on those yesterdays of your evil ways, and there ain't no bridge undone. Well, I'll leave you be. Ain't no finding me, no, no, 'cause I'm letting go. Well, I knew I loved you for quite some time. I knew I loved you, and for once in my life, I thought I finally had that thing right. Now let go. Oh, now let go. Now I'm letting go. Now I'm letting go. Now I'm letting go.
Join EduTechGuys live from the 30th Annual AESA Conference in New Orleans, December 2nd through the 5th. We'll be providing day-by-day coverage as we talk with presenters, attendees, and members of education service agencies from around the nation. Get rid of the noise and listen to the music with EduTechGuys Live, December 2nd through the 5th. Brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative, Hope Public Schools, and the Association of Education Service Agencies.
Thanks, David, for that wonderful promo for AESA. Hey, we're back with radio.edutechguys.com. Oh, I played your promo. If you're wondering. The guys are like, what's he talking about? Yeah,
we can't hear what Jeff has going on. So.
They just think they know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very scary thing. That's why I have to listen to the show afterwards.
Yeah. What did he do today?
That's
Great.
right. I listened to it on the way home.
He had the microphone set to where we all sound like chipmunks, except for him.
So, hey, there's a great article out. I'm going to drop it on the tweeter here in a second. It's called Cracking the Code, Jake Roberts Unlocking the Future of Programming. The reason I was looking at it is we were just talking about the co-op's going to host in the spring Girls and Coding.
Right.
You know, and
Code, yeah.
Ladies in Coding, Women in Coding.
Girls Who Code.
Girls Who Code.
That thing.
It seems a little noxious. Girls Who Code.
Well, I don't know what else you want to go.
So, no, but it's interesting, and the reason I said it is because Monica had mentioned Sphero, and one of the things that he was asked about what's the project he's currently working on, and he's helping with an innovation center that's getting robotics into the classrooms into a daily lesson plan using robots like NAO, Sphero, and Kublets. So I thought that was pretty cool. He said his first language he learned was Python. Which is a fairly easy language for kids, especially to pick up.
Well,
Python 2. You know, it's a little easier. Now I don't listen to Greg. Greg makes it. He's a devil's advocate. I say, Greg, turn on the light.
I don't know about this.
There's a lot of muscles and synapses.
I will tell you though that does bring up an interesting point because I don't even want to talk about the languages I grew up on. So,
they're not safe for radio.
But okay, so you obviously don't necessarily agree that it's a good starter language. So what would you say?
The first language I picked up was AppleScript. And it's all both Python and AppleScript are scripting languages, which means that you don't have to compile them. There's two different classes of language. There's interpreted languages where you write the code and then you can run it immediately, and then there's that's interpreted. And then there's a compiled language where you write the code and then it has to go through this fairly lengthy process of it compiling and linking and doing all this sort of stuff. So you actually get a binary that you can actually execute. It's generally considered that interpreted languages are a little bit easier because you can iterate much faster. You can make a mistake and say, "Oh, well, that didn't work," rather than having to sit there and wait for 5 minutes for it to compile. So they're both easier in that sense.
I think most people. I think it's interesting. Some schools that I think teach Python. A lot of schools are teaching Python because those kids probably started off on C++.
Yes, it is easier than C++.
And so when you get to C++ and you jump into Python, you go, okay, that's much easier.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of a good bridge between C++ and HTML5. I mean, there's the way it's being used. I mean,
Python is?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's the way that I mean, that would be something I would probably say about
Well,
it.
and I didn't mean to get us off.
Greg and I'll start fighting about it.
Well,
but I'll
Python, C++.
Greg knows much more about it than I do. I'm the fat ginger in the room.
Well, and I'm the skinny Marianne, and so but I think for everybody goes what?
That was good.
All right, but anyway, I do think that could be a topic we could cover in a future show.
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, we're at the end.
But
Yeah, we might as well wrap this thing up. So,
am I rapping?
Yeah. That's beatboxing. Can't do that.
please don't rap.
Okay. I am David Henderson, and I appreciate you listening, tuning in to EduTech Guys Radio, and hopefully you will come back for another show.
Don't count it against
You'll
us.
come back. Hey, remember to check us out on the web, www.edutechguys.com. Go to the bottom, hit the comment section, and let us know. Also find a link there to radio.edutechguys.com. Catch our show reels, all of our podcasts that are out there. Once again, thanks for being here with us today, showing up, as they say. I'm Jeff Madlock.
And I'm Greg Moore.
I already said it was David Henderson.
And he's late.
Good night, Gracie.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.